It's the Moto RAZR Plus or the Moto RAZR 40 Ultra, depending on what region you are in. And wow, a really interesting device. I thought it was going to be interesting. I thought it was going to be cool. And I was absolutely right. This is only the initial impressions review, 48-hour type stuff. But I already have a lot of thoughts about this. So there's going to be a lot of videos on this coming up. I want to go over first the design, the style of it. That I think they've absolutely nailed. The color, Viva Magenta, is just absolutely fantastic. And there are advantages to having the vegan leather backing on it because it is kind of a matte frosted glass for the other two, for that sea blue or the glacier blue and then the infinite black. So that's something that will get, scratches a little bit more slippery. This gives you some texture because there aren't a lot of choices for cases just yet for this device, so you're going to want to protect it somehow. So this provides, it's minimal protection, but at least it gives you some extra grip, and if you put it down, you don't have to worry about it. But just the overall design of it itself, they've walked back the pure nostalgia design of the first two RAZRs that they had from just calling back to the ones from the early 2000s, and they've kind of given this its own design language. But personally, I think that's a welcome change. I was a little worried about it at first, but I like what they've done, even though I thought, if they kind of went generic, it would lose some of the charm, but it really doesn't. It's nice and light and thin. The one thing that they have carried forward from the original RAZR is how thin it is. It is significantly thinner, at least feeling lighter and thinner in the hand than the Flip 4. So that's something. There are some negatives to that, which we'll talk about in a moment. But overall, just the design and the color, I think, are absolutely fantastic. And it does feel premium in the hand, even if there are some things that I would question. And that is, as we're dealing with a flip phone, you got to deal with the hinge, because that's where the durability is going to come in. I don't want to say it feels cheap, because that's not the right word. It just doesn't feel as, and this is coming from the Flip 4 hinge, it doesn't feel as robust and industrial as the Samsung hinges. It is lighter. The device overall is lighter, so that might be a benefit to you. It might be something that you're looking forward to, the fact that the hinge itself is lighter and it leads to a lighter device. But there are some compromises there. It's the teardrop hinge. It closes flat, which is nice, but there is some flex in it. So if you were to kind of hold this and went back and forth a little bit, it moves. You could kind of feel it moving. You could feel it rubbing against each other. The Samsung device doesn't have that at all. There is no movement in that hinge. But then again, it's a little bit hefty. It's a heavy-duty hinge. This one you can operate with one hand. Not necessarily opening. I open it one-handed for security, but with one hand, one finger almost, you can kind of go ahead and close it and manipulate it that way. So that's something. Now, Moto does have a lot of stuff where they articulate the hinge this way, and you could do the camera stuff, a lot of the stuff that you could do with the Flip 4, but it kind of stays in these positions, but you can tell it wants to go down. Then you get it to about here, and then there's nothing to it. It just kind of falls in on itself. It's not the overall position like the 180 hinge that you get. It's kind of finagling it in the right spot where it's not going to flop over, but it basically wants to work its way down. That's a departure from the Samsung hinge as well. So just keep that in mind. But overall, I'm gonna use this until the wheels fall off of it, because it is that cool. External display, huge difference and advantage for this device. It is nice. You can use it. I want to pump the brakes on the full app experience because it is usable. It's a lot more usable than the flips that we've seen here in the United States, but there still are some limitations. Like you could see, you're not seeing a lot of stuff, but for quick glances and social media feeds and scrolls, it's absolutely great for that. You can respond to it. You can go ahead and customize the apps that you have on the external display, 3.6 inches. You could do just stuff, email, Instagram scrolls. You can see almost one post at a time. You can type on it. I have done that. You will basically see the line of text that you're entering. That's going to be it, but you can do it. I've used it with WhatsApp and stuff like that. It defaults with it being open, the keyboard open, so the entire screen when you open it up is keyboard. That I found a little annoying, because if you just want to read people's messages and see if you have to respond, that could get annoying, but you go ahead and minimize it, and that's something that you could look at there, so that's not that big of an issue. One of the things that is fantastic, and I think one of the advantages of the Moto device, is the internal display is absolutely gorgeous. 6.9-inch display, 165 hertz. It is a magnificent OLED panel, really sharp, top notch. You'd think it was a Samsung panel. Maybe it is. They might buy it from them, but it is really good. Looks great. The crease is what it is. I've noticed, you can see it in the light there. If you get a little reflection, you could see it. It's about the same. Is it less dramatic than it is on some of the other devices? Yes, but you can still notice it if you're looking for it. But otherwise, you're not going to notice it once you get into content. But wow, color saturation, reproduction, the contrast, the depth. It is absolutely gorgeous. You're going to love this internal display on this device. $1,000, by the way, $999. So it is kind of in the flagship price range for devices now. I liked it. It was kind of followed in the footsteps of the Flip 4 and brought foldable technology down to what would amount to an iPhone or an S20, whatever Ultra from years past, where at the $1,000 flagship point is kind of where you're going to get this more mass adoption of this technology, and it's nice to have a little competition with that as well with the Moto device. Performance is what it is. It's a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. I got that right on the first try, for like the first time ever. That's a stupid name for that thing. But you're going to get the power. You're going to get near flagship power. You're going to get a lot of stuff that you're going to like for this. As Twitter scroll is absolutely silky smooth. Instagram, no problems also whatsoever. Just the performance, you're not going to be missing or lacking for anything. You're going to get the gaming along with that. The Dolby Atmos speaker setup they've got is nice as well. I like the fact that they've brought in a lot of the Moto stuff software-wise as well. We talked the other day when I was talking about the Think Phone for Ready 4. You could use that here as well. You could pair on this device back and forth, Ready 4 engine, Ready 4 whatever, do let's go. But see, PC or tablet, if you got an Android tablet, or you could do a TV or display. You could project this. You could use it as a webcam. There's different things you could do with that Moto software. I like the fact that that's bundled. Plus, you get the Think Security that was part of the Think Phone software as well. So you get the Moto Secure, so you could go ahead and see what you've got privacy-wise, and you get more granular control of your privacy stuff, which I like. You can kind of get down into the nitty-gritty network protection, lock screen security, pin pad scramble, just an extra layer of security on top of the regular Android security, which I like. Plus, you get the benefits of the new and improved Moto software policy program. You're going to get 4 years of major updates here, bi-monthly updates. So, listen, so far so good on the Think Phone. We'll see where they are. If you're looking for a relatively stock Android experience that's an alternative to Pixel, you just don't like Pixel hardware or the Pixel experience, what they're doing, you could get something like this and have that relatively stock experience with the Moto stuff that they add on top, which is a light skin, which is nice. Battery life, it was pretty good. You know, that chip is good. It's a TSMC kind of foundry, whatever it is, that came with the power efficiency that we had when we got the Plus Gen of that chip. So that was really good. I was getting 6.5 hours, roughly 7 hours on the first day. That's going to improve. I would at least stay the same over the course of the week. So we'll let it do its learning, and we'll see what we get improvement-wise. But overall, I was impressed with the battery. The one downside I could see with it is a network drain. It's all of these devices. I was in an area today that had borderline 5G, 4G LTE. So if you're in one of those borderline areas and the modem is switching back and forth, you are going to notice a little bit of extra drain, but you throw it on Wi-Fi and you're going to be fine. No issues. Charging, 30-watt fast charging. Does not come with one in the box, which is surprising because Moto had been doing that, putting it in the box. But the turbo power, whatever they call it, works fine on this device, charges up. You're not going to have an issue. 3,800 milliamp hour battery in this guy. A little bit of bloatware, which I was surprised because they didn't include it on the Think Phone, but they have included it on those other devices. They have a lot of these games. Let's see if I can even find it. But they had a lot of games loaded up on here that was just like, you know, it's a $1,000 device. We don't need the games. You don't need to subsidize it with putting on whatever stupid game you got on here. So I would like to see them step away from that a little bit. Overall, an interesting thing so far. You know, the camera, we'll get to that in the full review. Camera is a Moto camera. If you used a Moto camera in the last 5 years, you pretty much know what it is. Not great, not terrible. It's not going to be completely disgusting. I think it's a little bit better than that. But it's not going to get the sharpness or the computational stuff that you do get with Google and Samsung. So just keep that in mind if you're you know, social butterfly when it comes with your camera stuff and you want to post a bunch of stuff. It'll get the job done on social media, but don't expect the world out of the camera, the dual camera system here. I think that's pretty much. You're going to want a screen protector or something on the outer display. It is going to get scratches, I would believe, and it's got a lot of smudges. I don't know if it has that oleophobic coating on there. No always on display. It's got that peak display. It's pretty snappy though. If you put it down, it'll go away and it'll recognize almost instantly when you pick it up or you tap it. So it's kind of like an always on display, and I do like their lock screen stuff. Fingerprint sensor, side mounted on the side here where you could get to this. And like I said, you know, you kind of scroll through here, which is nice. It's useful. It absolutely is useful. Is it an absolute blow away winner from something like the Samsung Flip 4? No, I don't believe so, but it's interesting. We got some competition. We got a conversation when it comes to flip phones for a change, which we had not had for a while here, at least in the United States. I think the cool factor is awesome. I'm going to love using it. The vegan leatherback, the Viva Magenta. If you get any other color, you're doing it wrong. Just want to put that out there. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.